Hey everyone, it's Matt Fraser, the psychic medium, and I'm live right now because I have to tell you guys something. We are in this astrological time called Mercury Retrograde. And if you haven't heard of it, all right, it's something that you got to look up. You can check it out on my website, meetmattfraser.com. I have all the dates, okay, that Mercury Retrograde is happening in 2022. Now, a lot of you guys ask me, what is Mercury Retrograde? Well, let me start by saying this. If this has been a crazy time for you, if all of a sudden you've been noticing that everyone around you has been acting crazy and you're like, what's going on? What's happening? It is not you. It is literally something called Mercury Retrograde. So, Mercury Retrograde is a time in astrology where literally the planet Mercury, which is responsible for communications, the planet of communications, it literally looks like as though it's rotating backwards when you see it from Earth, when it's viewed from Earth. And when that happens, it's an illusion. It doesn't actually spin backwards, but it looks that way. It goes into retrograde. And when that happens, it causes major communication issues here on Earth. All of a sudden, appliances don't work, text messages go missing, email messages go missing. People are just forgetful. You might tell a coworker to do something for you, and the next thing you know, they forget. For example, you'll say, hey, can I switch with you on this day? You work on this day, I'll work on that day. They'll be like, oh, yeah, sure, no problem. Then next thing you know, it's not in the calendar. And you're like, hey, don't you remember we said we were going to switch together? And they were like, no, that never happened. That conversation never happens. Or like next thing you know, people are arguing with you out of nowhere. They think that they're right out of nowhere. They think that you're wrong. They misinterpret something that you say. They get all pissed off with you. Someone cuts you off in the road. If that's been happening to you, you are not crazy. This is what Mercury retrograde does. And you know what's so crazy? There's actually people who are afraid to sign contracts, to buy a new car, to start anything new during the Mercury retrograde period because it causes so much disruption. So here's what it's happening right now. So January 14th it started, and we're in Mercury retrograde all the way up till February 3rd. So what astrologers like to say is during that time, try not to start anything new. Try not to buy a house during this time. Try not to buy a new car during this time. Try not to sign documents during this time. Try not to make major life decisions because chances are during retrograde, if you make a big change or you make a really big life change or decision, it will fall apart because communication is just screwed up. Now, I want to let you guys know there is a loophole to Mercury retrograde that you guys need to know about as well. All right. And here's what it is that if you, start something before Mercury retrograde and then it ends in Mercury retrograde, you're exempt. So for example, let's say 6 months ago, you were looking at houses and you started your housing search. And then right before retrograde happens, you purchased a house and, you signed the documents and you were supposed to close during retrograde. That does not affect you. You're considered grandfathered in because the period of Mercury retrograde only affects the deals and the things that happen when booked in and during Mercury retrograde. If you have started something and then it ends up, entering into Mercury retrograde, then thankfully that's a little loophole that you don't have to worry about. And I want to let you know that that's the reason why so many people, are so nervous about these dates. And listen, we can't stop our life. We can't stop living life just because, there's this weird energy that's going on in astrology. But at the same time, make sure that you're really good with communication during this time. How can you avoid the effects of Mercury retrograde? One, remember that everyone around you is going through the same thing. That energy affects us all. So when someone's acting a little bit kooky or somebody's acting a little bit, high strung or acting a little bit out of it, know that they might be feeling the effects more so than you because Mercury retrograde, I've noticed, affects more sensitive people who are really sensitive than, people who are a little bit stronger in their emotions. Now, that being said too, always remember that during Mercury retrograde, when things start going wrong, just blame it on retrograde. Know that that's the reason why. For example, I'll tell you something in my life that just recently happened. So before Mercury retrograde, this is the way that works. So before Mercury retrograde, we're getting a new tour vehicle for 2022. I'm so excited. So we just purchased this new tour vehicle before retrograde had happened. Don't you know that the vehicle comes in a couple days before retrograde? And then I forgot the dates were coming. And I'm like, you know what? I want to put new tires on this vehicle. Like I didn't like the tires that it came with, the rims on it. So I was like, can you guys switch out the rims for me? I don't like these rims. So anyways, they found these beautiful rims that I loved. So they ended up ordering the rims. I had to wait another couple weeks. The rims came in. The rims did not fit the vehicle whatsoever. It wasn't working with the brakes. It wasn't working with anything. Next thing I couldn't use those rims. The other rims I had already sold. Now I have a car with no rims on it. So this is how Mercury retrograde happens. Then a member of my team, she was coming over to drop off some paperwork over here, and she's actually my business manager, Sherry. All of a sudden, she got in her car and the car wouldn't start. And the car was like reading, that there was a battery issue. Couldn't start the car. They jumped the car. She drove the car to the mechanic, and the mechanic said there's nothing wrong with the car. Like, they did a battery test. They took the battery out. They checked the alternator. It was fine. The car's been working all throughout it. So here's what happens. When Mercury retrograde happens, expect delays. Just prepare yourself. Know that it's going to happen, and know that it's not you. So when the world starts going a little crazy around you, know that that's just the effects of retrograde. And one of the best ways to prepare for that is to actually go and to write down the dates. Keep them in your calendar. This is actually advice that I need to tell myself, because I didn't do that. I actually never put the dates in my calendar, but I'm going to start, because literally every time I don't put the dates in my calendar, there'll be a week where like everything will just be going crazy, and I'll be like, what the hell is going on? And then I'll find out that it's retrograde. So I think this year it's happening about 4 times. I have a blog up on my website too that will tell you guys about this. But hold on, I'm going to read you the dates right now, because I don't know them off the top of my head, because I am terrible with numbers. But if you go on my website, you'll see the blog Mercury Retrograde, what it is that you need to know. My website's meetmattfraser.com. Hold on, let me tap this. And the dates are January 13th to February 3rd. We're in it from May 10th till June 2nd, September 9th to October 1st, and from December 28th to January 18th, 2023. So we're going to be in it about 4 times this year, okay? So that being said, plan ahead. And what I want you guys to know as well, all right, which is so important, is that, Mercury retrograde affects all things communication. So like I said, it's not just misunderstanding text messages. It's not just losing emails. It's also during this time that we see a lot of travel delays. Like if you watch the news right now, you'll see that there are planes that are grounded, planes that are delayed. Like, did you see the news, that news alert where like all of these planes were delayed? And then there was this issue where AT&T was going to roll out their 5G network, and then it was going to screw up the planes from taking off and landing. Well, guess what? This happens right in the height of Mercury retrograde. So this is how communications just are off. And sometimes during this time, the reason why people fight during retrograde is you could be talking to somebody, and you could be giving them a compliment or just giving them some advice, and they mistake what you're telling them, and all of a sudden they get all bent out. They think that you're insulting them. They misunderstand what you're saying. Or maybe for example, happens a lot in business. I see a lot of people in business that are affected during Mercury retrograde, because some person will write a number on a piece of paper and say, we're going to do the contract for this number. And the next thing you know, it's a different number. And, all these things all happen. So know that, like I said, you're not the only one that's affected. It's something that happens, within astrology and within the universe. And yes, it is real. I got to tell you, I feel the effects of it all the time. And I'm seeing in the chat right now that a lot of you guys do as well. And Danielle's asking me, do you believe in horoscopes? Absolutely. Listen, I wouldn't be a psychic medium if I didn't. And TJ said, I won't travel during Mercury retrograde. So listen, I got to tell you, I get screwed by this Mercury retrograde shit all the time, because I travel. I still travel. I still live my life. I end up paying for it. But at the same time, it does help when all of a sudden, the dates and you're like, you know what? I'm not even going to stress over it. I know that things are bound to happen. So what I've learned to do is, like, when Mercury retrograde happens, leave for the airport, a little bit earlier than you should have. Create a checklist. Like, I'm always double checking everything. Like, even right now, as I'm talking to you guys, I put a little Post-it note with the dates, on with the dates of Mercury retrograde on my screen, because, during retrograde, you've got to check yourself. Like, I might tell you the dates, and the dates might be off, which I already did. I was making a video about Mercury retrograde, and I posted the wrong dates by accident. I knew what the dates were, but somehow when I typed it out, it got miscommunicated. So that being said, make sure that you mark it in your calendar. We're all in this till February 3rd. It's not you. You're not crazy. I want you guys to know that, it's just this energy within the universe. But, take some time to de-stress. Take some time to really be organized, organize your inbox, double check that email, reread everything that you're writing, and you will be just fine. And then the next one, the nice part is that the next one isn't till, another couple weeks. Now, I also want to let you guys know as well that tomorrow is Monday, which means that every Monday, don't forget, there's a brand new psychic reading video that's posted here on my page. So that being said, on Monday, tomorrow, make sure that you tune back in for that reading video. And it's funny because, oh my God, who just said that? Paula Wu says, yeah, it's making me crazy and crabby. Listen, it affects us all in different ways. What also is, it's weird to see if you start to like keep a track of, if you start to keep a journal or start to keep track of all the ways that Mercury retrograde affects you, you'll notice it's like one thing after another after another. And that's what makes you really pissed off. It's like you go to the drive-through, you put in your coffee order, and then, you grab your coffee, you take off, and you realize it was the wrong order. Then next thing you know, it's that you go to the supermarket, and you walk in, and then you go and you grab things that were on sale, you bring it to the register, you figure out that it was on the wrong rack, they're really not on sale. Then next thing you know, you write an appointment in your calendar, you're supposed to go to the doctor's on such and such a day during Mercury retrograde. You go to the doctor's and come to find out it was the wrong appointment in your calendar. And then that's how come we get crabby. That's how come we get so upset, because it's like, why is this happening? Like, you're like, this is the worst day. And the next thing you know, it happens the next day and the next day and the next day. Well, listen, we all just going to bear through it with one another. We all just going to relax, take a breather, try not to let it bother you. And like I said, it helps knowing that it's truly not you. So like I said, it started on January 14th. We're in this till February 3rd. So hang in there. It's going to be gone by Valentine's Day. And also remember that during the holidays is when your loved ones are the strongest. So during Valentine's Day weekend, okay, when you go and you sense and feel your loved ones in spirit, know it's their way of saying hello to you from heaven. Yeah, I just wanted to come in to let you guys, you guys are so funny. Chiani, I think is how you say the name, says, I'm trying not to lose it. Listen, hang in there. You're going to be all right. And Bonnie's going, Matt, are you Italian? Of course I'm Italian. Don't let the name fool you. Can you hear? Right? Don't I talk Italian? Can't you tell with the talking with the hands and the jewelry? Italians, we give the best jewelry, remember, because we take them off of dead people. All right. Ask any Italian that you know. But anyways, tomorrow I'll be posting a new video. Hopefully that doesn't get delayed with the Mercury retrograde. That's going to be going out online. I'm so excited for you guys to see it. And more importantly, don't forget the next online group reading where I'll be giving live readings online. These are live video readings, is happening on April 12th. So if you'd like to come and join me, everything's sold out until April 12th. So you can get your tickets to an online reading on my website at meetmattfraser.com. Oh, and while I have you guys, don't forget, if you want to come and meet me live in person, I am coming to give live readings up close and personal in Las Vegas. I'll be at the Las Vegas Venetian, February 11th and February 12th. Then I'm heading to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on March 5th and March 6th. Oh my God, I almost forgot. In Lynn, Massachusetts on March 3rd. See, that's Mercury retrograde for you. And then later on this summer, I'll be coming to Detroit, Michigan on August 21st. So if you'd like to come and join me, head on over to my website, meetmattfraser.com. And thank you guys for tuning in. I'm going to be back on here talking about more spiritual topics. And don't forget every Monday to check my page for that new psychic reading video. Amy Griffin, thank you so much for the stars there. Thank you guys for everything that you do for me. And more importantly, I'll talk to you guys in just a few days. Let me know what you think about tomorrow's video. Subscribe, set reminders on your phone. And I post the videos on Monday because I'm hoping that, that's a great start of your week. I don't know where I would be without sensing and feeling my own loved ones, every single day. So what I do is I try to post these videos on a Monday. So this way, when you start your week, you start knowing that your loved ones in spirit are there. Thank you, Mrs. Gordon, as well for that. I love yous all, and I'll see you soon.